Something that has captivated the minds and hearts of humanity for centuries has been the amazing stories brought to us by the many mythologies of different cultures. The stories derived from these myths vary greatly, from tales of heroes rising from humble beginnings to explanations onto how the universe came to be. Looking into the world of mythology is guaranteed to fascinate and enthrall anyone who comes across it. However, within the annals of Greek myth exist tales that not only fascinate those who hear it, but terrify them. What's up guys, I'm Aidan, and let's all grab our swords and sandals and venture forth into the top 5 haunting stories from Greek mythology they didn't teach you in school. Coming in at number 5, Lycurgus of Thrace. Lycurgus was the valiant king of the Adoni in Thrace, and his story is a gruesome one. Lycurgus was heavily against the cult led by Dionysus, the god of wine, and a famous partier within Greek mythology, sharing his wine with mortals and his many concubines of both sexes. He also was a heavy drinker of beer, Lycurgus that is, the natural enemy to any wine-loving god. However, the cult formed around his party habits became quite dangerous, having lavish gatherings that would disrupt the peace of the many cities they passed through. In response, Lycurgus banished the cult from Thrace in hopes of stopping them from messing up his land. Of course, Dionysus, being a god and all, would still visit Lycurgus's kingdom, and when he did, Lycurgus responded by imprisoning all of his followers, treating them roughly and poorly, especially Dionysus' nursemaid Ambrosia. This royally angered the god of wine, and so he punished the king of Thrace by making him go absolutely bonkers crazy insane. Consumed by madness, Lycurgus would go on a tirade, killing many of his own people without even realizing they were people. But the horror reached its apex when Lycurgus mistook his son for a trunk of ivy, something that is considered holy to Dionysus. So he killed him, cutting off his fingers, toes, nose, and ears. And of course it didn't end there. He actually proceeded to kill his whole family, mistaking them for the things that Dionysus holds dear. As a consequence of his insanity, the land of Thrace fell into a famine, and Dionysus decreed that the land would remain completely barren until he felt that Lycurgus had truly paid for the imprisonment of Dionysus's cult. The response of his people? To tie him up and literally fling him into a herd of man-eating horses. The terrifying punishment given to Lycurgus serves as a stark reminder of the merciless nature of the gods, and the cruel responses they have to anyone or anything that does them wrong. The myth highlights the tremendous power the Greek gods hold, and the chilling effects they have when used for their own malevolent reason. Sorry to all my beer drinkers watching this video, you guys would not get it easy in ancient Greece. Next up at number 4, Cronus. Cronus is probably the most famous of the Greek titans, the deities that created the many gods of Greek mythology and are the offspring of the primordial gods that created the universe. Cronus gets his fame because he was the only titan with the gall to attack his own father, Uranus, the ruler of the universe. With nothing but a giant stone sickle, Cronus cut off the cojones of Uranus, and from their mutilation spawned giants and the goddess Aphrodite. From that point on, Uranus threatened vengeance against all his sons and called them titans, because they overstepped their boundaries for committing such an act. But it was not this act that is haunting, but instead the atrocities Cronus committed after learning that he was destined to be defeated by his own spawn, much like he did his own father. When he heard this destiny, Cronus quickly went mad with fear, as he was soon to have many offspring of his own, such as the gods Hera, Poseidon, Demeter, and Hades, with the mother goddess Rhea. Upon their birth, he devoured them all, in order to prevent the prophecy from coming to fruition. When his 6th and final youngster was born, Zeus, Rhea hid him in Crete, and instead gave Cronus a rock wrapped in baby's clothes for him to devour instead. How he was unable to tell that it wasn't a living, breathing being, I don't know, but I digress. I mean, I've heard of eating your problems away, but Cronus definitely took it too far. Many artworks exist of Cronus devouring his offspring, with the most famous being Saturn devouring his son by Francisco Goya. Saturn was another name for Cronus, and the art on its own is quite terrifying, depicting Cronus's desperate and mad nature as he gnaws away at his own family. But the story doesn't end there. Zeus was secretly raised in a cave, masked by the noises of armored male dancers to hide the sounds of the youngster's cries. When the time came for Zeus to confront his father, his grandmother Gaia gave Zeus a special concoction that would make Cronus puke out all of Zeus's siblings, plus that rock that Rhea gave him. After freeing his now fully grown siblings, Zeus and the other gods waged war against all the titans in an event known as the Titanomachy. And just as the prophecy foretold, Zeus eventually slayed his father Cronus and led the gods to victory, ushering in a new era of power within the world of Greek mythology. And at number 3, Prometheus. The terrifying tale of Prometheus is a story that is deeply embedded in Greek mythology, and narrative of rebellion, punishment, and humanity's ceaseless pursuit of knowledge. Prometheus, whose name means forethought, was one of the Titans, the powerful race of beings that predated the Greek gods of Olympus. Prometheus's tale begins with the audacious act of defying Zeus, the king of the gods, which honestly could be anything. Zeus got angry pretty easily. According to one version of the myth, Prometheus stole fire from the heavens and gifted it to humankind. Fire, a symbol of knowledge and enlightenment, allowed humanity to advance in countless ways, from cooking food to forging tools. However, Zeus had forbidden the Titans from sharing the divine fire with mortals, fearing that it would elevate humans to dangerous heights. Plus, the gods were already on bad terms with the Titans after the Titanomachy. Zeus's wrath was swift and brutal. He devised a gruesome punishment for Prometheus. The Titan was bound to a rock on Mount Caucasus, where an eagle, a symbol of Zeus, would visit him daily to tear at his liver. Prometheus was immortal, so his liver would regenerate each night, ensuring that his torment would continue indefinitely. This horrific cycle represented not only physical agony, but also the enduring suffering of the human condition. Prometheus's defiance did not stop at the gift of fire, though. He also possessed knowledge of a secret that could change the fate of the gods. He foresaw a time when a mortal woman named Thetis would bear a son greater than his father Zeus. To prevent this prophecy from coming true, Zeus married Thetis off to a mortal man, Peleus, thus averting the potential threat to his rule. Prometheus's actions, ultimately motivated by a desire to aid humanity and challenge the divine order, reflected the enduring human spirit of curiosity and defiance against authority. His suffering served as a chilling reminder of the consequences of challenging the gods, even with the noblest of intentions. Prometheus's tale also underscores the complex relationship between the gods and mortals in Greek mythology. While the gods were powerful and revered, they were not infallible, and they often displayed human-like qualities such as jealousy, anger, and vengeance. Prometheus's rebellion and subsequent torment serve as a stark warning of the consequences of crossing the divine, while also highlighting the importance of knowledge, innovation, and the enduring quest for human progress. Number 2. Orpheus. The horrifying story of Orpheus is one that explores the depths of love, loss, and the unrelenting pursuit of the impossible. Orpheus was a legendary musician and poet in Greek mythology, known for his enchanting music that could move the hearts of gods and mortals alike. Orpheus's tale centers around his passionate love for his wife Eurydice. Their love was deep and true, but it was tragically cut short when Eurydice was bitten by a venomous snake and died. Orpheus, consumed by grief and despair, could not bear the loss of his beloved and decided to embark on a harrowing journey to the underworld to retrieve her. Armed only with his lyre and his extraordinary musical talents, Orpheus descended into the dark realm of Hades, where he used his haunting melodies to charm even the fearsome ferryman Charon, who carried souls across the river Styx. His music moved the stone-hearted judges of the dead, and eventually he stood before Hades and Persephone, the rulers of the underworld. Orpheus made a plea for the release of Eurydice, and his music once again worked its magic. Hades and Persephone, moved by his music and his love for Eurydice, agreed to grant his request, but with one condition. He must lead Eurydice back to the world of the living without looking back at her until they reached the surface. It was a test of his unwavering faith and trust. As Orpheus ascended from the depths of the underworld, his heart pounded with hope. Yet, just before they reached the surface, doubt and fear overcame him. Unable to resist the urge, he turned to look at Eurydice, hoping to catch a glimpse at her. In that moment, she was whisked back into the shadows of the underworld, lost to him forever. The horrifying twist in Orpheus's story lies in his heartbreaking failure. His love was pure, his music bewitching, and his journey into the underworld was nothing short of heroic. But his inability to restrain his curiosity and doubt cost him the ultimate price. Orpheus was left to wander the world in inconsolable grief, forever haunted by the memory of Eurydice and the sound of her footsteps fading away. And at number 1, a personal favorite of mine, Sisyphus. The chilling tale of Sisyphus encapsulates the profound concept of existential despair and the futility of life's repetitive struggles. Sisyphus, a cunning and deceitful mortal, became infamous for this audacious defiance of the gods, particularly, and if you've been paying attention to this video, you know what god I'm about to name, Zeus. Sisyphus' first transgression was divulging the secrets of the gods, violating the divine code of silence. This act of betrayal shook the foundations of divine authority and disturbed the balance of power. His second act of defiance was even more audacious. Sisyphus managed to capture Thanatos, the personification of death, and imprison him. By doing so, he disrupted the natural order of life and death, granting a brief respite to mortals who were meant to succumb to the inexorable cycle. Zeus, the ruler of the gods, could not let Sisyphus' insolence go unpunished. In retribution, retribution, Sisyphus was condemned to an eternal torment within the depths of the underworld. His punishment was both symbolic and profoundly chilling. He was tasked with rolling a colossal boulder up a steep hill. However, just as he neared the summit, the boulder's weight would defy him, rolling back to the base of the hill, forcing Sisyphus to recommence his labor in an endless cycle. The terrifying nature of Sisyphus's punishment lies in its utter hopelessness. He was compelled to engage in an eternal, futile task that mocked his determination and willpower. The Sisyphean ordeal symbolizes the essence of the human condition, our ceaseless struggle against seemingly insurmountable challenges and our unyielding quest for meaning in the face of inevitable adversity. Albert Camus, the renowned French philosopher, delves into the philosophy of Sisyphus in his essay The Myth of Sisyphus. Camus asserted that despite the apparent absurdity of Sisyphus's predicament, he found meaning in the act of pushing the boulder. Sisyphus, in embracing the absurdity of his punishment, defied the gods by finding purpose and contentment in the very act of pushing the boulder, spawning the famous quote, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." This defiance, according to Camus, constituted a form of revolt against the absurdity of existence. So just remember guys, life is truly just pushing a boulder up a hill, and even though sometimes you'll get all the way back to the top, you might drop it and go back to the start again. And while it may seem hopeless, it's important to keep pushing on, because simply the act of trying to reach that summit is worth more in life than just sitting at the bottom in stagnation. Well, on that note, this video is coming to an end, and so is my time here on this channel, guys. I'm moving away soon and I won't be able to host any more videos for you all. I mean, I'm sure some of you guys will be happy to see me go, but for those who won't, then, well, sorry. I don't know. Just make sure to keep it cool. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what Greek mythology stories I might have missed. Have a good one, guys, and I won't see you in the next one.